video, we'll explore how Venn diagrams can be used with attributes. A Venn diagram is a powerful way to organize objects based on shared characteristics. Let's suppose we have a 3-circle Venn diagram here. Let's suppose the top circle represents large. So I'm going to go ahead and move my large shapes in here with the note that I'll probably have to move some of them later. But for now, let's go ahead and put all of our large shapes in this top one. Wrong one. Once we've done that, let's look at our second circle. We're going to let this one be does not have right angles. So this overlap between the first and the second are going to be large shapes with no right angles, like circles, hexagons, and triangles. So I'll go ahead and move my circles, hexagons, and triangles into this overlap. But this larger one down here, these are going to be things that do not have right angles that also are not large. So we'll go ahead and put in all of our small triangles, circles, and hexagons. Now let's suppose my third one does not have parallel sides. So in this, we want to put anything with no parallel sides. So triangles do not have parallel sides, so I can move my triangles over to this overlap. And circles do not have parallel sides, so I can move circles. This overlap between the first top one and the bottom right one would be large things with no parallel sides. And that's only those large circles and triangles, but they're going to actually be in the overlap of all three. So we have large circles and large triangles in the center, large hexagons in this overlap here, large squares and quadrilaterals in the top, small hexagons in the bottom left, nothing in the bottom right, and all of our remaining shapes actually do not fit into any of the categories. Since they are not large, they do have right angles and they do have parallel sides. This kind of activity helps children think carefully about multiple attributes at once. Now let's do a different kind of problem. This time, suppose we are given a 3-circle Venn diagram, but we need to figure out the labels. And it's also important to note that we do not want to consider color at all. That cannot be a valid label for any of our circles. And we also want 0 blocks in the overlap in the center of all 3 circles. So let's suppose I call the top one large, and I'll start moving the large shapes here. Because I want the top section to be large shapes. Once again, we still might have to move these for some overlap sections, but for now, I'm going to go ahead and move all the large shapes in my large circle. We're going to let our next one be small, so there will be no overlap between large and small since nothing can be both large and also small. So we'll go ahead and move all of our small shapes into this one, and we'll leave its overlap with the first top circle empty. For my third circle, I'm going to pick hexagon. So I'm going to move all of my hexagons into their appropriate overlapped sections, here and here. And that's it. So we have nothing in the center overlap of all 3, because nothing can be both large and small at the same time. So there cannot be any blocks in the overlap of those 2 categories, much less all 3. But this is not the only possible solution. Let's suppose we call the top one circles. So I'll go ahead and move all of my circles there. My next one I'll call quadrilaterals. So I'll move all of my quadrilaterals there. That's going to include my squares as well as my rectangles. And there will be no overlap between these two since nothing can be both a circle and a quadrilateral at the same time. We'll call my third circle large. So I'm going to add in any of my large shapes into this circle. My large circles will then go into that overlap between those two. My large quadrilaterals, both squares and rectangles, will go into the overlap of these two. A block cannot be both a circle and a quadrilateral, so again, the triple overlap would be empty. This is an important teaching point. Sometimes in mathematics, there is more than one valid solution, and that is something students need opportunities to experience. These Venn diagram activities help children classify shapes, think about multiple attributes at once, explain their reasoning, and recognize that mathematical categories can overlap in meaningful ways. As a future teacher, this is a great reminder that sorting tasks are about much more than putting objects in piles. They are about building logic, structure, and mathematical language. And that kind of thinking will support students all the way through later mathematics. Keep going. These are exactly the kinds of foundational ideas that matter.